Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. I have returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that, well, I really screwed that up. The journey continues today on, where are we, June 4th, 2024, at approximately 4:31 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind myself that working together we can remind everyone that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally use to guide virtually every decision I make. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me, and they have worked for literally thousands of other people with various degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into the topic today, which is quite literally self-worth, creating your own world. Okay, now I cannot create your world for you, so I'm going to lay out what I am laying out, what I've got planned, and what I've got going on, and use that as a template for you guys. Now, before I get into that though, scroll back up here, and we have Wu is in with the gold, and Wu has literally written, "Gold is for all," and much as I appreciate the thought, and I definitely agree, everybody deserves a pat on the back. The modern method of education, literally, and I realize you're not in school anymore, but the modern method of childhood education is literally, if you show up, nobody gets a gold, nobody gets a silver, everybody gets a ribbon, they all succeed. In the real world, that doesn't happen. Unless, of course, we are talking about gold as in money for everybody. This would be a great idea. And that is something that we are working towards building. Yeah, then we'll get to that. But Storm is right in the middle of everything, making certain that things run smoothly. And I'll tell you, he is doing an absolute bang-up job on it. Then we have LA Moon in the house. LA, do trust things are going well on your end. Hopefully you're feeling better than you were. Now, in with the silver, we have Joseph Lawrenson. Joseph goes, "Howdy, I'm distracted, setting up new curriculum as we are way off the original." New curriculum for what? I gotta ask, Joseph. And we have in with the bronze, we have Malu. Malu, how you doing? Haven't talked to you in a very long time. Hopefully things are going well. And honorable mention, we have Joe Stewart. How's it going, Joe? Glad you could join us. I know things get hectic around for you. Anything new happening on that end of the world? And Christine, how are we doing? I know you think things have been hectic. I'm betting things are getting busier for you now. Now, slide down just a little bit further, and there we are. Now, we are looking at self-worth. Now, one of the best things I found with self-worth myself, and I am going to end up getting this done. I even know, come to think of it, Storm, this is literally for your, I believe your son is the one you were referring to. But these 4 words are the most common, are the most powerful in any language I've heard. I am worth it. Now, I am going to be getting, and this is where your son comes in there, Storm, is these 4 words. In all fairness, we'll start with English and we'll work from there. Okay, I have a tendency of coming up with ideas and just going, hey, this looks like it's a good idea, so let's see what we can do. And we have Valerie has just wandered into the house. How are we doing, Valerie? So the first thing we do, because it's time to build a world now. So what I'm going to do while I'm at it, grab my neat little trusty pad that I make notes on, so I can make sure everything falls. And like I said, this is a question of when you're looking at building your world. We are not talking, okay, we are not talking about, you know, Storm, that would actually be not a bad idea in a lot of ways. Because I know there's, you know, just a couple of thoughts there while we're on that. Languages I know we're going to have to look at. Obviously, for a t-shirt that says, I am worth it. Now, it's only been recently that I personally have taken to wearing any t-shirts that have a saying on them. Right? But we are definitely going to have to go with English. Okay. Now, there we go. Storm's son's name is Eric. This is the chap I'm going to be looking to get to design the artwork and what have you for the t-shirts. Okay. But English is definitely one. We were looking at a few other languages, but being as I am, you know, being as I'm a gamer as well, and the entire novel series I've got, the Ildebakin Chronicles, are based on gaming. Okay, there are two languages that have come to light. As Storm put it, we're going to have to translate it into proper Klingon, and we're going to have to translate it into Thieves' Cant. Now, if you're a gamer, you'll know what that is. Okay, one of these days I'm going to go track it down again. I do know Thieves' Cant was printed out in great detail in Dragon Magazine number 66. Whether you can find it again or not is anybody's guess. What, pray tell? Oh, Kapla. That's what that is. I thought that was just I know that's Klingon. That Robert White is going Kapla, which I know is a Klingon term, but I thought that was just an agreement type thing. Yeah. Okay. That would be when Robert goes, no, it means success. Which is absolutely, it's one of those things that I do. We'll try English. Okay, I did discover there are 4 foundational words towards success, but we'll get into those. There we go. Now that one would be German. We have a few multilingualists in here, obviously. So the first thing you look at is this. Do not worry about what your world is going to look like. Well, take a look at what your world looks like now, because it is so much easier to go, I'm not content with the way my world is. So when I look at my whole setup here, okay, one of the first things that I came to was to look in the mirror and go, well, really to look at my desk and go, I've got to get it organized properly. So that's where we start. The thing you look at is, what are you not content with? What is blocking the energy in your life to stop you from being successful? Okay, and I will tell you, clutter creates a problem. So we take a look at it and we clear the office out altogether. The office being designated as wherever you work on your finances or the organizational layout of your house. Now, here's a neat little piece. I mentioned I was getting finances under control. Malu gets success is how others look at you. Ironically, although you are correct, and she goes on to say, I am successful even though I don't have a job. I still succeed in other things. Stock's going good, house cleaned daily at 7 a.m. You know, and Joe's going, my dreams are getting way weirder now. Whoop, got my cursor in the way. And the Dream Journal 3 is coming along. This is fantastic. Now, the reality of the thing is, although I do agree, Malu, that success is how other people see you, but far more importantly is how you see you. Okay, and you are right, whether you've got a job or not. If your house is all tidied out, I would like to say mine is, and I can say that. My house is all tidy. By the way, I lie periodically. You know, although compared to when I was younger, my house is absolutely immaculate. You know, the neat thing about it is take a look at what's going on in your life. If you feel successful, you are right. If you feel successful, you're successful. Okay, now I'm building a whole different setup for myself and thereby hopefully turning on the light. Whoop. Oh, okay. Yeah, Molly's just going, wrong typing. Gotta be on your end. You know. Guys, well, let's face it, I don't type, period. I don't type on here at all. But take a look at where your life is. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Well, I will get the pronunciation wrong, but that looks like it says Now, I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, he goes, that's about as close as it gets in modern Norse. You know, so, I mean, we are going to go out onto a different route where it comes to what we're building here. Okay, but I've got to get everything in the office in this section right here cleared out so there is no junk. Okay, so it all is ordered. Now, do understand, the universe is ordered. Chaos came when corporeals and non-corporeals, when sentients were given free will and free choice. They weren't given freedom of consequence. Okay, neither are you. Oh, thank you very much, LA. The two statements there, the one in modern Norse and in German, both means the same thing. Oh, there we go. Storm goes, Klingon translation. Yeah, and we're just not going to try that. I mean, yo, that looks like Legumta. And that will take a little bit of work because Klingon, in case you're not aware, is a very guttural language, very similar to what Dwarvish is. You know, the important thing that you look at is take a peek at the world that you're seeing. What is not working for you? Now, one of the things, and this is my definition of success in my eyes, okay, and that is that the office, the living area, that the whole 9 yards is clutter-free. Right now, it is not. However, the office area, the brainchild of any house, okay, of any house or business. Okay, what has to happen? The office has to get cleared of clutter. and you clear the main arteries first of all. Once you've got the brain cleared, now you target the arteries. In other words, the hallways, connecting corners, the entryway, this sort of thing. Okay, you clear the main arteries of the house of clutter. Now, the reason you do this is because if you think of clutter in terms of rocks and debris in a stream, bearing in mind that energy works the same way as water does. If you put a whole pile of blockage in the middle of it, it won't run smoothly. Okay, it'll be restricted and it won't go where it's supposed to. So we clear the debris out of the way, energy level climbs, mental continuity, mental acuity climbs up there, and all of a sudden success becomes an easier thing. So we get rid of the clutter. I've got the 12 books, the 12 self-help books I'm working on. Okay, the Believe in Your series. As we've just discussed, we are going to be bringing t-shirts and coffee cups into play. Now, bear in mind, I'm not settling for these 6-ounce coffee cups. To me, that just doesn't work. This one here is a 12-ounce, except she keeps drinking it. Absolutely, Mellow. That's what the reality of changing things is this. You never do it ever all at once. Okay, well, I shouldn't say never. Okay, if you've got a dump truck that's full of garbage, you empty it in one shot. Okay, but bear in mind, you've collected all that stuff from elsewhere. Yeah, that's why I've got this one. That and the fact that if you'll notice, the handles are the right size to actually be able to hold on to them. So I will be looking at that. So I will be building that sort of it. And of course, the reality of it is I had to bring positive perspectives, which is the free newsletter online, and merge it with the same message from Positive Perceptions. Thanks very much to LA Moon, the name of this whole stream. Where are we? Well, much as I agree with you, LA, the reason I'm looking at the 12-ounce, I may well get 16 as well. I just don't see the point in an 8-ounce. Right. 8-ounce cups to me, it's like, why did you get the dish dirty? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Marlon goes, pick scent. All clutter, but office is ready. What I found, when you're removing clutter, sometimes pulling it out of the area and putting it in one place, pick one room that's just going to be a dump load. Okay, sometimes that works. Now, fortunately, the office area, which, by the way, 10, 13, I've got about 16 feet of desk, okay, from one side to the other. And that's pretty much clear, aside from what belongs there. Oh, yeah, that's going to take you a while. See, the books I'm reading, the 3 books I'm reading right now, and this is where I keep them, is right here. Okay, I've got the 3 books that I'm reading at this point, and they get changed as I get finished. And of course, one of the other things I'm looking at, now this one is the 4th book in an encyclopedia. And I am currently about 2/3 of the way through it. Bear in mind, I'm reading them all at the same time. Yeah, I'm on page 474 out of what will be 505. Okay, but they do it funny. So when I look at that, I've got about 25 pages left, which probably means in this book, I'm probably looking at another week to 2 weeks before I finish this one, because I only read a few pages at a time. And then I've got this one here. Okay. And it, as you can see, I'm not, well, actually, I really can't see. Where are we? There. Okay. I am roughly speaking about halfway through it. This is the one my little brother wrote. He's in the middle of rewriting it, of rewriting the whole thing. But I'm about halfway through it. And then, of course, this neat little book, which is the Holy Bible. Now, I'm reading this one literally because I told my father I would. And I'm about a third of the way through it. Okay. Now, I told my father I would read it cover to cover. And that is pretty much the biggest motivation for all of it. Yeah. My dad, not my dad, my brother he would take, my older brother, the one that recently passed away, well, he passed away a couple of years ago. I kid you not. He would take a book like this, that thick, and he would read one a day. And then he'd remember not only what was written in it, but he'd remember it page for page. That's what an IQ of 180 plus can do for you, which, by the way, can be a pain in the neck. But that's just personal opinion on that end. So I've got the office sorted out. Now, you'll notice on the bed behind me, also known as my workstation while I'm awake. It's about half covered in different writings. This morning, I actually had it full. So I've been making headway. So we take a look at that. All of this has to go. Take a look at what's going on in your life. Are you content with it? I told you I was not content with my finances. So here's a new update for you. Just this morning, I managed to get my biggest credit card is now under limit. Now, like I was talking the other day, one of my goals is literally, and your goal should be, or at least I'd advise it to be, get debt free. Okay. My eldest brother, when he died, he owed a whopping $1,600. Okay, that was all he owed. Now, one of my biggest goals is to get debt free. Well, now that I've got a little room on the credit card, I can now start doing exactly what I told you I was going to do. Okay. And that is, I'm going to start earning money with my credit card. And here's how I'm going to go about doing it. Don't get caught up in the percentages. Just don't. Okay. I went and spent $14 in one store. It's getting paid back 20. I spent 92 and change in another one. It'll get paid back 100 literally in 2 weeks. Okay. So let's just make sure I wrote those. I did so. Now today's the 4th. So literally on the 18th, 2 weeks down the road, because the average credit card takes 3 weeks before they start charging you interest. So I've made that purchase. I won't be doing anything more unless absolutely critical until after that gets paid. But because I'm going to pay more than I spend, the balance is going to drop. This is how you get debt free while earning money. Okay. It won't earn a lot of money, but it will get you debt free. So one of the big goals here, get the office sorted out, did that, start generating an income with a credit card. Okay. Now, that is a critical issue. The other credit card I'm just ignoring for the time being. Well, I'm paying it, but that's all that is. That's where that sits. But like I said, when I tell people, here's the tool I suggest you use, I'm already using it. Okay, so I'll have that all sorted out. I'll be going through this little list here. And I realize you can't read it, but this particular project has a list of all the different files I've got in my email. So I took a list of them all. Now I'll go through them one at a time and wipe out the emails I don't require. Okay, again, it's getting rid of, in this case, digital clutter. Clutter is, if you will, the plaque in the arteries of life. I like that. But my goal is to be 100% debt free. Now, assuming I only make $700 clear, in 4 years I'll be debt free. I believe that's how it works out. I take 34,000, which is what I literally owe right now. Yeah, literally 4 years to the month. Okay, in 4 years, at only 700 for income. This is above and beyond what I require to live. Okay, I'll be debt free. Now, understand something. That 700 comes out of one check. I've still got a contract coming in. Okay, which means I could do it if I just take that check. Now, all of a sudden, it drops from 48 months to 36 to 34 months. My apologies. Okay, and that's just by one little jump. Now, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing, Malu. The question you have to ask, and I do agree with you, this is why right here, right, and I know you can't see it, right here I have 3 full-size restaurant tomato boxes that are full of old comics. Okay. See, yes, you can hang on to stuff, and I do encourage you, if that's the direction you want to go, absolutely do. Okay, I just came to the conclusion, and this is for me. I'm getting rid of stuff. The comics, I'm starting to look for a buyer now. I've got somebody that's interested in some of them. Malu, politely put, not going to happen. I am getting rid of them, and some people are going, but I will find buyers that will pay properly. I'm not selling them at 25 cents a pop by any stretch. But I have come to the conclusion I'm not taking them down to a comic shop and selling it to them. That's not going to happen. So I'm starting to look for buyers. And absolutely, we are talking about comics from the 1980s. Okay. And that said, if anybody that's listening to this is looking for them, now I collected Marvel. Okay. I used to collect Marvel. Now what I'm doing is going, I don't require them anymore. They're going. My kids don't read them at all, primarily because they're in a box and I don't think they know about them. But considering they've all been cardboard packed and in plastic sleeves, since I got them, they're all in at least fine condition, I suspect. But if people are out there and they're looking for them, one of my goals is to take the stuff I've got. Like, for instance, okay, I have this neat little pack here. Now, what I'm doing here, and this is, I'm poor. Realistically, I'm poor. I'm probably richer than some, definitely poorer than many. Okay, these are hardcover. Okay, The Wizard of Oz, Sorcerer's Apprentice, you get the idea. Now, this particular set, I have no idea what it's worth, but I can tell you when I open it up, this will give you an idea. Okay, this is what I mean by building your own world. Okay, now, when was this written? I am looking for the date, and I'll be hanged if I can see it. Oh, there we are. This was written in 1984. Ivy? 19. Okay, but this whole set, I don't know whether I'm going to find a buyer for it or whether I'm simply going to turn it over to somebody. I don't know if it's worth anything. Okay, but what I'm doing is finding things like this that I've got around the house that I don't desire to have anymore. I will talk to my kids, see if they want them. If they want them, they'll go to them. If they don't, they'll be going. But the world I'm envisioning has no more clutter in it. Okay, it's got energy running really quickly, really smoothly through my entire living area. Now, bear in mind, I live and work in the same place, dang near on the same chair. Okay, but get clear in your head what you're happy with, what you're content with, not what anybody else figures. Because what other people think, really, where it comes to your success level, it has nothing to do with them. But very important, you put boundaries in place that you're content with. Okay, you're the one that lives there, make the rules up. Okay, and of course, you can always do what I did. I had a chap show up at my house one day. I had barely met him before he comes over to my place for a game. First words out of his mouth, "This place is a dump." I looked at him, I says, "You don't like it, you know where the front door is." I'm just an absolute, spot on host. I'm about as blunt as you can get without telling them to flock off, although it was close. Castle, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, like I said, the key is to figure out what you're not content with. So the clutter's going. Some of the stuff I've got is going the way of the dodo bird. Okay, I am so happy with where my weight is right now. Well, as of Sunday, I think it was below the 180. Sunday. No, Sunday I was back up at 190.4. But then I also knew that I hadn't done what I was supposed to. One of the other things I'm looking at, where did I put it, is getting on a definitive pattern to make things happen. You desire your world to be different than what it is. One of the first things you got to do is go, am I doing it for me or am I doing it for other people? Okay, if you're doing it for other people, I'll tell you, you're likely to run into a hiccup. Capsicles, I've been on these really nasty antibiotics. I've been on these really nasty antibiotics that have made me very sick, so I've stopped taking them. It'll take 2 days to get them out of my system. I was put on medication for my blood pressure. It was great. In 2 months, I went from being able to see clear across the room to not being able to see my computer monitor when I was that far away from it. Like you, I quit taking them. Now, that being said, hopefully you did the research necessary and looked into how to quit taking them, because some drugs, once they get into your system, if you cut them off completely with like cold turkey, sometimes they can backfire. Okay. Yeah, Joe's going, I clean my bedroom upstairs every other day. Now, the neat part about it is this office area. Like I said, I've got 15, 5, 10. I've got about 16 feet of office. Okay. And I've now got it clear, which means tonight before I go to bed, everything will be put away. So it'll be clear when I get up in the morning. By having a definitive plan in place, you can actually get your life in order to your specifications, not to anybody else's. Okay. So what I've got here is I do have to get debt free. I also, New comments. What do we got here? Well, here's the thing, and I do agree with you in one sense, Castle. Castle's going big pharma drugs really suck. Here's the thing, I don't have anything against big pharma at all. Honestly, I really don't. But here's why. Big pharma will take your pick as to which company. Okay, they go, here's a pill. Here's this tiny little thing it'll do to help you. Here's this great big mile-long list of things it's going to do to harm you, poison you, cripple you, whatever you want to call it. But they lay it out and go, this is what it can do. Please buy my drugs. Now, I'm not entirely certain, but to me, this means they're being honest. They're telling you, I'm going to charge you through the nose to buy this stuff. Here's what it will do for you. Here's what it will likely do or may do against you. Please buy it. Now, I'm not going to blame Big Pharma for somebody buying their drugs. So I turned around and looked at it and went, okay, you can tell me what you'd like. Absolutely. My doctor literally, when she put me on the last set, and then thankfully retired from that standpoint, that turned out to be a bonus. Because apparently up here, from what I've been told, okay, the people that can call for an eye exam or a driving exam as you get older are your family doctor. Mine retired. Bonus. Now, mind you, I've been cutting back on driving anyway. And no, in all fairness, LA is just going, it's not especially encouraging, is it? Well, the thing we have to remember is the medical profession globally, requires ill people to make money. They don't require people to be healthy. That's just that's just the reality behind it. But with that in mind, I take a look at Big Pharma and go, they're another company. Okay. I take a look at grocery stores and they'll say, sale, whatever this is. Most of the time, they likely have the sale, they bump the price up. Okay. So normally, I know one case in particular, the normal price was 99 cents. And they had this great big sale sign, sale, $1.20. Now, they happened to leave the 99-cent thing on there. So what I did was I looked at it and I called the department manager over and I says, care to explain? And he looks at me and goes, well, it's perfectly legal. We are selling it for $1.20. Right? He said, there's nothing legal about that. But he said, if you ever see something like that, just tell the cashier that you desire it at the normal price. And they'll give it to you. But he says, the reality is, most people see a sign that says sale, and that's where they go. And he says, we sell way more, of that product when the sale sign goes up than we ever do when it's just listed normally. Now, in my world, what's happening is this. I'm taking all of this and getting rid of the junk. Okay, all this stuff behind me is going to go. Now, the reality is, I'm burning through it. Like this drawer here used to be absolutely full of pens. Okay, I've cooked through them. How's that? Well, that sidetracked me, didn't it? I'll come back and look at that later. Anyway, all of this is all organized the way it belongs. These shelves are getting cleared. Now, the thing is this. What I find is the more the clutter goes away. What do we got here? Yeah, it really is, Joe. Joe goes, it is truly amazing, though, what I personally have accomplished up to this point with my dream journal. I will tell you this. Habits, as far as I've come to understand, okay, they take roughly 3 weeks to form a habit. Roughly 3 weeks to break a habit. Okay, so this issue of getting my office cleared and what have you, I got this whole 15 feet cleared. I got it all cleared about a week ago. Well, the beginning of the month. Yeah, so about a week ago. Okay, but as long as I stay on top of it, and that's where this neat little list here goes. I'll pop you in there and leave you there. This neat little list. This is what's helping keep me on track. Okay. Oddly enough, it's only been like I've got 5 months of these notes. Okay. To help keep me on track. It's only literally been yesterday that I figured out that there is a definitive pattern of right now. I think there's 9 things. There are 9 things every morning that I've got to get done when I get up. I will be growing that to 12. I just don't know what the other 3 are yet. Okay. But those 12 things, I may not get them done before everything else, but I will make certain those 12 get done every day. And it literally boils down to making a contract with yourself. If you're not happy with the way your life is, okay, if you're not content with the way it is now, it's time to build the world you desire. Okay, I'm not the one to tell you whether to desire it. So I've got these little programs on the go. And find my pen here. Now, I'm a little behind, which is plain normal. Okay, it's so much better being a little behind than being a fat head, but I've got the fat head too. But I've got, where are we here? I've got a plan worked out on paper again. Give it physical form, whether it is like I am. You love what my son did. I told my son, I said, I still work better with pen and paper. He never missed a heartbeat. He looked at me and goes, Dad, that's because you're old. Yeah, Castle, I am not at the point of doing 20 push-ups yet. And as for the deep knee bends, much as I agree with you, for 30 squats, absolutely, I think they're a great exercise. Here's the problem in my case. Okay, I do 1 squat, I dislocate a knee. As I'm coming up, I dislocate the other one. I'm not doing those. Okay, now, the important factor you have to look at here is whether you're content with your world. LA goes, I'm going to disengage my spell check in a second. See, when I was younger, I used to do one-arm curls. Only this wouldn't be coffee. In all fairness, Christine, I never thought of that. Okay, it's not a bad place to start either. Spell check absolutely has lousy grammar. But what I found is this. I'm getting rid of that stuff. I am literally disposing of anything that I don't have a definitive use for, except holiday decorations I'm hanging on to. I'll be getting rid of some of them because I got way too many. Okay. Holiday decorations I'll be getting rid of. I'll be hanging on to much of it. And the stuff that is true keepsake. Okay. Now, this one literally is the new edition. And yes, here I am, 61 years old. Okay. And this little guy now sits on my bed. Okay. But he is the newest addition to my household. And, the reality of it is, at 61 years old, I would have never considered ever having another stuffy. I've got a few in a box. Where are we here? I've got my books. I've got books on my ADHD brain. One of the nice things about it is I take a look at my world now. I am eliminating the clutter. I'm getting rid of the stuff I don't require. I suggest you do the same thing. If the basic rule of thumb is this, as I've discovered, if you haven't used the thing in a year, the odds are you don't require it anymore. Now, that is aside from the things that you're keeping. The things from your childhood, for instance, or from a relationship that fell apart. I will tell you, no matter what your relationship, there was something good about it. Okay, or you wouldn't have had it in the first place. Now, looking back on it, you may go, what the heck was I thinking? Or just, was I thinking? But one of the biggest things that you take a look at is, what is your house and what is your life looking like? Now, in my case, when I get rid of the excess debt, I will be bringing the books in and merchandise that goes with it, because my intention is simple. I desire to build an empire whereby 80% of my net profit, in other words, I've taken care of my own bills, 80% is already earmarked to go back to the community, to either charity, as in buying people groceries, buying people a meal out, putting food in the SPCA, this sort of thing. I will not be putting money in. I will not be donating money to a registered charity. Because frankly, what I've discovered, with it is this. Most charities, the massive majority of the money you donate to them goes to their administration costs. Now, my company, as in Inner Voice Enterprises, is going to be footing the bill for all administration costs. And that's why I won't give to a charity that doesn't. Because the reality is that I will get it legally placed first. That is just the reality of it. Now, the one thing I look at is every now and again I get hit with vertigo. But that's okay. That's why I keep this stuff. Rest assured, yes, it's white, it's a powder, not about to snort it. It's called salt. Really a bad thing to put in your nose. But really good thing to bring my balance back in. Now, is why you look at, why are you doing this? Why are you changing your life? Are you changing it because you're not content? Or are you changing it because somebody else said you've got to change it? From my experience, even if a doctor comes to you and says, you've got to quit smoking because at your age you could get cancer. Okay, brilliant idea. That ultimately, Castle, that is what I do a lot of the time. One of the biggest things I look at, if a doctor says you got to quit smoking, the odds are, if you're doing it because the doctor said you had to, you're likely to run into hiccups. Okay. That's just the reality behind it. So, make certain if you're going to make a change, it's because you see the importance of it, and you're doing it for me and for you. Do it for me by all means. And like I said, no, I don't do well, I do things for free. This, as in positive perceptions and positive perspective, are absolutely remaining free. If you go to the top of the chat line here, you will find a link there to buy me a coffee. That is where you can buy any of the books that I've written, and where you can also get the free newsletter. They can set up for consulting, which, yes, I still do it. Okay. And I've got well over 100,000 clients under my belt in my career. So, on top of what I'm doing here, this is just the brainchild of where the healing is coming from. I'm reaching out to find people, and this is where Storm Sun Air comes in. Okay. Yes, it's on its way. I'd have to double check and see when it was sent, but I know. Wonder if I. Oh, right there. I know they said that, when I sent it, let me see. I am looking for, that is not what I wanted. There we go. Sent out this morning. When the heck was that? That was sent out on Thursday. So this is Monday. It should be in sometime later this week. The nice thing about it, what I'm looking at, is taking all that I'm working with. This is simply the brain. Okay. And you'll notice I said this is, not this. This is scrambled. I'm absolutely certain of it. But by connecting with various different people, I'm going to build a network of people that are geared towards helping people, towards making this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. Now, I was told to literally pass on a piece of information. My other half and I, we've actually been seeing each other long distance for just about 4 years now. A couple of weeks ago, like literally on the what was it now? 14? No, the 8th. On the 8th of May. Okay, we met in person for the first time. Now, to be frank, she didn't like the term boyfriend and girlfriend. Never has liked it. Of course, I've always referred to her as my other half. But we stumbled across a word, that takes it from the boyfriend-girlfriend to the fiancé point, but halfway. There's a new word that has apparently come out, and she's literally told me, she says, if I wasn't happy with the way things were going, we wouldn't have met in Reno, right? So she says, absolutely let people know that she is now officially, as of today, via her claim and mine, she is now my fiancé. I will ask her to marry me when we get her across the border. Okay, not to move across the border, just simply to get up here. But I did tell her that, yes, I got no problem with that. Okay, so, I will tell you, Christine, the flights down to and from Reno were a nightmare. But, as you can tell, we spent a week together, and, well, we are now absolutely on official track to turn her into my wife. Okay. So I will end up losing my girlfriend, my fiance. They're going to go away. Not the individual, but you get the idea. But I do understand, on top of her being that part of my own personal life, she's also my editor, my transcriptionist, and my executive assistant. This is what's called working way too much. Okay, but I can't think of a better way to do it. Okay. So from my standpoint, she's part of the future we're building. Where are we here? Christine goes, at Disneyland, we were crop dusted by a person who walked by us. Our group was momentarily affected, but we recovered. I remember walking by somebody, I kid you not. Of course, I am the world, I'm the epitome of tact. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I am the absolute epitome of tact. I walked by somebody in a grocery store one day. Okay. And when I walked by them, I caught a whiff of their perfume. I looked at her and I went, nice perfume. And she goes, oh, you like it? I said, yeah, I just can't quite figure out why you bathed in it. Like I said, not necessarily the most tactful way of putting it. But I think you got the point across. Yeah, I'd apologize, but for the last 10 years, I have literally responded to what's in a room. Okay. I am going to be, never mind going to. As Joe Stewart put it one day. Yes, but Christine, if you watch Doctor Strange, the movie, it tells you right there, the warnings come after the spells. So I mean, as Joe Stewart pointed out, I happen to already be global. Okay. In other words, we've already got listeners from one end of the world to the other. Now I'm looking at drawing the network together and starting to produce a better outcome for virtually everybody. They like, I remember, and I could go on for hours about some of the things I've said that should have gotten me slapped. I'm certain of it. Right. Subtlety is not my strongest suit. But with that in mind, one of the big goals I've got is to remember where I put my coffee cup. I got to talk to the young lady on this thing. She is going through my coffee like there's no tomorrow. But on top of getting debt free, I am fully intending, like I said, on turning 80% of my net profit back out into the community in one form or another. Because I don't require $10,000 a day to live. I really don't. I will, however, be building a healing center, which will include accommodations, counseling, that sort of thing. It will include a lot of different merchandise as we go along, all of which is going to feed back to the same thing. Okay, like the book, when I write a book, I make sure I charge enough that when I get it back, when I sell it, I can go out and order more and still have a little bit of a profit to live on. Okay, but that gets done. And of course, the reality is I'd love to be able to ship for free. And again, that's something that Storm LA and I will be discussing when I'm down when I'm down at their place later this year about some of the things that we can do. But these are all things that are in the work because this is a world that I see myself living in. This outfit will be upgraded. Don't know what it's going to look like yet. Don't care. The one thing I will tell you, I do not like the color pink is great for other people. No, I'm not wearing pink, but that's it. Okay. And I'll guarantee you're never going to see me dressed in a dress. Not going to happen. Heck, I won't get into a kilt, and I'm Scottish. I'm actually Canadian. I'm second generation Canadian, but my heritage is Scottish and Druid. You get to figure how likely I am to turn around and do that. But when you get an idea in your head of what you'd like, Write it down. Now, you'll notice I've been making notes on this thing. On that side, it's easy to read. See, I don't expect you to read it, but that tells you. There you go. See, there is writing on it. So I am making notes of what I'm manifesting, because here's the way manifestation works. And by the way, this particular little piece of information, starting in the July newsletter that's coming out in a few weeks, okay, I am literally including in it over the next 3 months, might be a fourth one, the physical steps, the practical steps to physical manifestation. Okay, like I said, I have literally combined now the newsletter and the live stream. So they are carrying a correlated piece of information. Okay, so we are going to be looking at a charity. We are going to be looking at, down the road, I will be eventually buying a house. Of course, I'll buy a house that is also known as apartment building. Okay, I will live in one. I will hire a manager who will live there for free. I do not believe that an apartment manager should be paying any rent. Okay, so I will have the apartment manager live there for free, and then keep the rent at a level that people can actually afford to live. Okay, I'm not overly concerned about people that go, oh, I've got enough money, I can pay $5,000 a month to live, so rent me your apartment that's only worth $1,000. Rent it to me for $1,000 because I require it. The people that require it, oddly enough, are not the ones that are doing extremely well. Okay, so I will, and just some of the things that will be part and parcel of the healing center. Now, here's the funny thing. My healing center, I originally laid it out so it was self-contained. Since then, that has evolved. I will have a self-contained hub, but the neural net, as in it stretches around the world. I will absolutely be finding people that can accommodate what I'm seeking and live up to my standards. Okay, and yes, I'm a picky individual. Absolutely. There is no question I'm opinionated. But I also don't have to worry about whether or not what I'm telling you, whether or not I remember it. This is why I don't lie. I've got a memory that's absolutely tiny. Just shorter than heck. Except for the distant past. Okay. Now, the reality of it is this. I've got a vision in my head. 50,000 years ago, I was here. I remember walking the streets of Lemuria. Okay. And I'm not worried about what the history books say. Okay. Understand the history books are intriguingly misleading a lot of the time. 50,000 years ago, we had over 10 billion people living on this planet. We are not in danger of running out of room. We are in danger of running out of room that everybody wants to live on. Nobody wants to actually occupy. They don't want to live there. So it's like, oh, it's not prime real estate. It's not worth living on. I don't know about you guys, but remember the old idea of homesteading? Go out in the middle of nowhere and work your tail feathers off to make your house work. I used to, way back a decade ago, I was on a board of directors with Park Society. I had all kinds of things I knew would work. They turned around, sold the park. Completely a political moneymaker on their part. Okay, now, I will be investing in real estate and what have you as I get money. Now, do understand something very important here. I am right down to the wire. Okay, as far as money goes. Just about went belly up. I was literally $50 short of rent until I told my son, I said, look, we're $50 short of rent. Okay. I was out of gas in the car, out of money for rent, out of food in the house. We are now above water and climbing. Okay. This said, I will down the road, if I plan things right, and rest assured, I'm not making a mistake on that one. Well, yeah, I will. But I've got a very clear vision of what I desire in my world. Do the same thing. Take a sheet of paper. Okay, Joe's asking a very important question. After having a dream, how long does it stay in brain memory until it's gone? Well, the real answer is it never goes, but your recall, you will likely find, disappears inside the first 2 to 3 minutes of being awake. Okay, with that in mind, keep a pad of paper by your bed. Like, keep your dream journal by your bed. The moment you wake up, if you wake up having had a dream, start writing the dream down. Okay, you can add the date and time as soon as you're done writing as much of the dream as you can. Okay, what you do, write the dream down. Once you've done that, mark it and write it down. Write down the date and time. Okay, the dream will stay put. Let's say you wake up and all you remember is that you were running. Write down, dreamt I was running. That will trigger the memory. Okay. Now, when it comes to dreams, I remember one dream I had nothing to do with my past life. I dreamt of an airplane crash. The kid I told it to was a professional archaeologist. Well, he was a student of archaeology. Pure logic. I laid the accident out for him that I remembered seeing. Okay, what it was a military troop transport taking off the runway and crashing tail first at the end of the runway. Right, well, it flew a little bit and then crashed tail first. And this guy looked at me and he goes, and I told him there were two survivors. Okay, because I saw 2 people thrown out of the plane before it crashed. So I told this friend of mine that, and he goes, Keith, planes don't crash in accident. It was when I by the tail first. He says it was just a dream. 2 days later, he's on the phone to me. Keith, pick up the phone or pick up the TV. Turn it to this channel. Right? He said, turn it to the local news channel. Then the accident you warned me about happened. And then when I turned on the screen, there it was. And it was literally the plane had taken off. It wasn't a troop transport. It was an airplane full of American paratroopers flying home. Okay, but as it come off the runway, a gust of wind hit the front end and kicked it up. It caught the tail of it and disintegrated. No survivors, except the day before, 2 days or 3 days before, one of the paratroopers got an emergency call and was off. He was supposed to be on that plane. He got an emergency call and was gone 2 or 3 days earlier. One clear. The other one got halfway up the staircase, turned around and looked at his buddies and went, I can't get on the plane. He turned around and walked off the plane. 2 survivors. Okay. My buddy looks at me and goes, they don't crash that way. He said, there's no way you could have seen that. It could not. And the only thing you could have done is seen it before it happened. Now, when you take a look at your world, virtually nothing is impossible. Okay. Now, I will warn you, this does not mean everything is safe or everything will not happen that way. But if a plane can crash tail first, okay, there's any number of things that can go wrong. Take a look at whatever you're being told is impossible. Change that word to possible. Okay. I am doing a section, as a matter of fact, I do have to have that here. I am over the next, well, that I'm aware of, 9 months, going to be writing an article in Positive Perspectives on 9. I've got 9 already on words that are absolutely self-debilitating in any language. Okay, now I'm only writing in English. Okay, sooner or later I'll find somebody that can translate. But for the moment, it's just going to be in English. You're going to have to work with it. You know, the reality is we are looking at building a network around the world where the people that are helping are going to impact in little spots. It's kind of like if I'm the only one doing it, okay, if I'm the only one working on this project, it's like taking a puddle of water and you turn around and drop a little rock in the middle of it. That ripple will eventually get to the shore, but it'll stop. It'll peter out. You'll have saturation. However, with your guys' help, now 2,000 years ago, one gentleman showed up. If you pay attention to the stories, one gentleman showed up and said, look, let's be nice to each other. Treat people the way you desire to be treated. Okay. 12 people got on the wagon and said, let's spread the word. Here we are today with all kinds of people looking back to that one individual. Now, the odds of my being here in 2,000 years in this body, not really good. Okay. But in this room, last I knew, we had 623 subscribers. Okay. And if you look at that, we have 623 divided by 12. That is fine. That is 51 times the number of support people that individual had. Okay. I am a firm believer that working together we can, in spite of what's being done by the so-called leaders, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. So this is the empire I'm looking at building. Now, yes, absolutely. I happen to be sitting at the top of the totem pole. However, understand something very important. If you take a look at a grid, where is it? I'm going to show it to you this way. Okay. Now, we'll call this the totem pole. And here's the top. And that's theoretically where I'm going to be standing. Except there are people better than me. There's a lot of people better than me in all kinds of ways. There's a lot of people worse than me. Okay. So we take these two axes. Okay. And really, there's a third one here. Okay. But it's that junction point. That's the only difference here. I'm simply starting the ball rolling. Hopefully you guys will get on board, and the fact that people are in here and the numbers are growing means I'm looking at this going, yeah, we've got billions of people being told your world's going to end. You're all sinning. You're all going to go to hell. Hell is a wonderful place. Got beautiful hot tubs. I still think they're a little warm, a little too hot. Okay. But deep tissue massages there to absolutely die for. But I will tell you, okay, I don't care what somebody's past is. As long as they're treating people decently, I can work with it. Okay. LA goes, when I began doing this, we were at 300. I don't think the effort was lost at all. I absolutely, I appreciate that, LA. And guys, just to be clear, if you haven't heard this before, LA Moon is actually the one that coined the phrase when I was looking for a title for the show. Okay, and that was only a couple of months back, I think. LA Moon is the one that came up and says, we'll call it positive perceptions. Between positive perceptions and positive perspectives, the newsletter, the free newsletter I produce, both of these are going to remain free. Now, if I can find a third venue that I can go with for free, I will. Okay. I just don't know what it would be. Because ultimately, this video is the new TV. Okay. This is the new television. I am not worried about the issue of, oh, maybe somebody's going to steal my idea. For pity's sakes, if somebody wants to steal my idea and tell people to get along, be my guest. Absolutely be my guest. And on the flip side of that, okay, yes, I'm doing all of this for free. I'm still struggling financially. That's just the reality behind it. Now, I could tell you I'm a multimillionaire. I am absolutely perfectly fine financially. I can tell you this. Of course, that would be called lying. And I know I can tell you that because I just said I am financially perfectly fine. That's a lie, a load of, and you get to guess what. Okay. That said, that's where the books, that's where the merchandise will come in. Okay. Because the fact of the matter is, I will keep the price at a level where I can simply cover the costs of producing it. I don't take into consideration how much effort it takes to write. Okay. But I will be adding stuff to it as I go along. We are currently working on audiobooks as well. That hasn't gone very far, but there's been a lot going on. But this is the world I'm talking about. I've got a vision in my head for a global, well, honestly, I've got an image in my head of an interstellar show. I do appreciate that, Joe. I worked it out. Let me see. I worked it out, and if we just go with each person that is currently a subscriber, bringing one person a month, okay, and if they just bring one person over the next year, we're already, if everybody just brings one, to introduce them to the fact that we are not going to tolerate bullying or any sort of greed-based setup. I'm better than you. Oh, you can't believe that because, well, it's not what I believe, so it's wrong. No. The only person that applies to is if I feel you're stepping out of line, if I feel you're stepping out of line, I'm not content, absolutely. I've got the authority to say I'm not tolerating it. And I've already given Storm in LA clearance that if somebody comes in and creates a problem that is going to cause a jeopardy, it's going to be dangerous or difficult for the common populace here, okay, they've already got go ahead to get rid of it. Okay. And for those of you that are just poking your nose in, haven't been in the chat room, coming in with an inflammatory name or a vulgar name or a name that hints in that direction, do yourself a favor. You're being discontinued immediately. I'm not interested in it. Okay, I don't care if you use your actual name. Okay, I use mine because I always have. But I can guarantee some of the people coming in here don't use their real name. I don't care if you use a nickname. I really don't. Okay. Yeah, Joseph Lansing goes, it's crucial to acknowledge that our choice of words reflects our beliefs, assumptions, and attitudes about ourselves and the world. Absolutely on the money, Joseph. And the reality is, the empire I am looking at building is the one that opening a door for somebody coming up behind you. This is acceptable. Okay. This is one of these things that has been lost. It was put to me this way. Humans have lost their humanity. They used to stay, they used to work together. Now, the newest rendition of people is not what can I do for society? It's what do I get? How much am I getting paid? Well, I will tell you, the people contributing to positive perspectives aren't getting paid because I'm not charging for it. Unless you count the fact that you'll get publicity by a byline. Lone, how you doing? I got a kick out of it. That brings to mind, Lone Wanderer is just going, I got into it with a troll who thinks it's okay to be tone deaf about poor people. I don't like that toxic nature. Neither do I. Okay, I remember, and this is a true story. I used to have coffee with a homeless guy. Okay, and I'm sitting there talking to him. Now, he bought his own coffee, so he was doing, in his eyes, he was doing functional. But we're sitting there having coffee, just a normal morning conversation. And this guy in a business suit, he's looking really ragged. He just plunks himself down. And he looks at me and he goes, I used to have it all. I used to have a wonderful job. I was married. I had kids. I had everything. He says, now I've got nothing. I'm living on the street in a cardboard box. I kid you not. The guy sitting beside me, he suddenly leans forward, eyes pop wide open. He looks directly at the guy and he goes, you got a cardboard box? Are you ever lucky? It's a matter of perception. Okay. I mean, the guy that I was talking to, he always slept under on the tree, under a tree, that sort of thing. But this guy, he's like down on himself. He lost everything. And now it's like, what? You got a cardboard box? Holy mackerel. Do not. Oh no, Will Ryder, they still work. You just don't see the effects. See, before I dropped 60 pounds, I had no muscle definition in my legs. Okay. Now I do. And no, I'm not showing them to you. They're not that good. This is what we're looking at. I'm looking at taking this picture I've got and turning it into an absolutely interstellar community. And yes, I've got connections I can do that with. No, I'm not going to prove it to you. Okay. We'll take it for granted that, this is the way my life works. In all fairness, it was literally a hypnotherapist that accidentally discovered the first hidden memory of my time off world. Now, I will tell you, Woo, I'll give you the key. And I kid you not, this tool for quaint smoking. Let me ask you this, Lone. You said here, where are we here? No, sorry. Woo, let me ask you this. Am I understanding correctly that you desire to quit smoking? And yeah, I'm going to wait for an answer for that before I carry on with that thought. Where are we here? The neat part about it, I used to drink a lot of soda, a lot of junk. Okay. My brother, the one that passed away a couple of years ago, used to drink usually in excess of 2 gallons of Coca-Cola a day while eating 3 boxes of craft dinner. Needless to say, he hit well over 400 pounds. At worst, he was at 450. But what I'm looking at is a very simple little issue. Okay, I see this world as a unified world. I've seen it before. Oh, absolutely, Christine. I used, sad. I used to drink a lot of Coca-Cola with ice, a lot of ginger ale with ice. Of course, with the ginger ale, I usually had a lot of rye in it. But just in case I missed it, well, I can safely say I'll never make Coca-Cola. Of course, I don't know the formula for it and don't have any interest in making it. They're doing a fine job. But yeah, nothing you ever do will amount to anything. People are told this consistently. Yeah. Everybody that I know of has a sweet tooth, or not a sweet tooth, but they've got something that holds their attention. No, I'm not drinking as much soda. I think it's been almost a week now. Now, I haven't said I'm not drinking soda anymore, right? What I said was I'm cutting back on it. So I haven't actually had soda I haven't had a pop in a week, I think now, which is fine. Now, my coffee, on the other hand, I like this flavor way better than the flavor, than the flavor of the water up here. But no, I discovered an absolute cure for smoking. But it's boring as hell. And by the way, this same cure will stop smoking, drugs, overeating, virtually any addiction. Now, I know for an absolute fact that it has worked for literally hundreds of people, if not thousands, for quitting smoking and drinking. Oh, here we are. And okay, thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Malu. I really appreciate it. What is today? Oh, okay, you nearly worried me there. This Friday, I will be on Spaced Out Radio again. Okay, with the ET Connection. Now, absolutely it does, Joseph. That word impossible is one of the words that will be included in an explanation, in an article, in Positive Perspectives sometime over the next year. It will be starting today. Well, starting with the July edition, I'll be starting with the word can't. Okay, but that I'm already clearly aware of, there are at least 9. Okay, that are going to be there. One of the things that I have decided very firmly. Well, I will tell you, Joseph, when somebody says you're not good enough, I always throw the word yet at the back end. But there are a few things that people aren't going to do. An individual in a male body will never see the world as a female. You can absolutely identify as one. You can absolutely get a sex change, but the brain is still going to work the same way it does. Okay. And yes, there's all sorts of conflict on that, but that's okay. I shouldn't say never. I should say rarely. You know what, Joseph? The neat comment that was made, and Gene Simmons brought this one up, as in they had the lead singer of Kiss. Gene, you're not good enough. You don't have the talent to go into the music industry. You won't make any money at it. It can't be done. Gene Simmons kind of defied that. Okay, I'm a living rendition of what doesn't work. One of the best things I ever told people was, how about if we don't discuss what I can't do? There's a lot of things that I would recommend you don't do. Okay, but there's very little that cannot be done. Now, on that little note, yes, I realize we've still got a half an hour, but this coffee is not going to last that long. She's really annoying. She drinks my coffee. I'm going to blame her. I'll be right back. And we're back. Now, what, pray tell, I gotta ask Joseph, what, pray tell, is VFW? Oh, Joseph is gone. Sure, this is what I mean. He took advantage of my absence and he ran away. That's understandable. But, the reality of it is, what's that? Yep. The reality of it is, I've got an image in my head and much of it is on paper. Okay, I don't know if I've got that little book here. Should be blue, but it won't necessarily be where it belongs. It is not. Oh, that's what that is. Somewhere in this mess, I have the layout for Inner Voice Enterprises at corporate levels. Oh, there we go. Oh, thank you, LA. Okay. VFW apparently stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. When I'm talking about building an empire, what I'm not building is a place for people to come in and go, oh, I'm going to say I work for this company and I'm better than you are. That's not going to happen. Well, it might happen, but I will tell you that's one of those neat little things that I will, and I know this goes against the rules, but I'm just going to put it, when I start hiring people, when I start actually generating an income, I will do it by the book. Okay. And I will have in the contract, when somebody signs to come online, to come to work for me, where if I find out that they are claiming they are better than anybody else, okay, because I work for this company, I'm better than yours, I will simply terminate them. I'm just not interested in people building egos. I mean, sad to say, I hate the competition. And he goes, sorry, Storm needs to get this spell checker off my computer. This is the nice thing about spell checkers. They check the spell. They check the spelling and they come up with some phenomenally bizarre concepts. It's like the GPS. That's just terrible. People talk about GPS. Why do you get a GPS? You get lost. GPSs, I have heard nightmares of people being let out by the GPS into the middle of a liquid bay. There's where you need to be. And you're looking at where it's like, follow this path and it'll take you here. Wait a minute. Somebody forgot to mention the bridge was out. Okay. And I've seen the reports of this sort of thing causing real painful experiences. Now, what I'm looking at, I've got this picture, and some people would call it you're just delusional. Possibly. It is possible. Maybe I am delusional. I remember a world where people actually worked to make things better, where you weren't ducking bullets to figure out how to fix a broken ankle. So I'm putting all of this on paper so that I know what I'm working with. My problem is I got all these big ideas of what I'd like to see happen, and therefore, one thing I will tell you, okay, when I start looking and reaching out to different people, like for instance, my publisher, okay, I've got things set up with the one, and I mean the one that actually prints my books, okay. As soon as things start moving right, I've already started sending out money to pay for word of mouth advertising. One of my biggest complaints, and I'm not tolerating this one any longer, okay, one of my biggest complaints has been when I bring on an artist, when somebody hires an artist, you go, okay, I'm going to pay you, you say $50 for a picture. Great, no problem. So I pay you $50, and the standard rule is this. I pay you $50, I now have rights to use that picture. Great, done deal. But then what happens, and this is the part I do not agree with, and Inner Voice is not going to tolerate any longer. Okay. And it boils down to having to make, now here's the thing. I've got to make my net profit has to cover my bills before I can do anything substantial. Okay. Of the net profit, which means over $2,500 a month. Okay. When I'm making that in book sales, book, merchandise, contract, and consulting fees, when I'm making over $2,500, I will be turning 80% of everything over that back out to the public. Okay. Now, I did mention I was cutting a couple of checks loose the other day, and that one I did. It's just I don't have the funding to actually accommodate it as often as it will. The nice part about it is what I'm suggesting to you is this is what I'm doing. All I can do is say, here's the path I'm following. Like I mentioned, okay, I mentioned I was going to start generating an income with my credit card. Okay, now I ended up with a whopping $300, $300 below credit limit. Okay, that money I spent today in 2 weeks. Okay, now this is right now it's the 4th, so on the 18th, I will take, and I might do it beforehand, but by the 18th, I will take $120 and put that on my credit card, meaning I'll spend $100 in the bank, will sit there and earn a little bit of money, very little. It will earn a little bit of money, and then I'll pay off the bill plus a little so that I'm not paying interest on it. Okay, this is why I say these are tools I personally am putting to use. Now, I'm not waiting till I clear the debt, which is what my brother just recently suggests I do. Recently today, in other words. I was talking to him and he says, everybody that I've talked to, and he says, it holds true. Don't target the smallest monetarily speaking debt. Target the highest interest rate. To me, this doesn't work because he's looking at, well, it works, but here's the difference. You target the highest interest rate, you're dealing with what you're targeting you're targeting the logic side, but the emotional side of debt is literally one big debt is much less emotionally taxing than 17 little debts. So you target the little ones, you'll feel better, self-esteem will climb, self-worth will climb, energy will climb, mental acuity will climb. Get the idea. All of this climbs. Okay. At the same time, your overall debt load collapses. But mentally, it's better for you. And I will absolutely stand on that. Now, you can do what you will. I'm doing it my way. Oddly enough, I do a lot of things my way. I remember I had a customer when I was working for a fast food restaurant. I used to work for Dairy Queen. And I had a customer in there that wanted his money back. And the long story short, I turned around, got the message there, LA, I appreciate it. Long story short, we got around to the point where the customer looks at me and he goes, "The customer is always right." I looked at him and I went, "Yeah, my boss has been trying to tell me that for years." I said, "Frankly, I never got the message." So I mean, ultimately, that's what we're looking at. Now, clearly, you don't have to do things the way I'm doing it. But I strongly suggest, if you're not content with the way your world is, if you're not content with even one aspect of it, it's time to make changes. Okay, and do your best. Literally take a look at your life and go, "I'm not content with this. This is out of place. This isn't working." Make a list of what you're not content with. That's what you've got to eliminate. When you desire your world to change for the better for you, it is time to look in the mirror and go, "What am I not content with?" and make that a change. See, I look at it this way, LA. I have never said I'm always right. I remember I was wrong once. I thought I was wrong. I thought I was wrong and I wasn't. Now, you can do with that what you will. One thing I will tell you, get your head sorted around on one thing. Change is the one constant in the universe. Okay, with no change, there is no growth. You desire your world to become better. You're the one that's going to have to adjust things. You're the one that's going to have to do the work. Now, I will keep you posted on how things are shifting. Like I said, I mentioned I was going to start earning money with a credit card. I've now reached that point. Okay, tonight when the game is finished up front, because tonight's my son's gaming night. When his game is done, I will set things up and make soup. That instead of buying canned soup anymore, I'm going to make my own and freeze it. Okay, now that may not be, it may not be the best way of doing it. I'm not the greatest cook, but I can do it well enough for me, and that's all that matters at this point. One thing I will tell you is when we all work together, the people in this chat room, this is a microcosm of the world at large. And I'm absolutely coming right out and asking for your assistance to spread the word, that we are here. We are not interested in talking about how the world sucks or how big business is the problem. Big business is not the problem. And we're going to prove that one day. Okay, because we are going to become, Inner Voice Enterprises is going to become a global community. Well, it already is. But I've got this vision of a world spanning, really a universe spanning empire that literally promotes the positive side of people. Celebrates the successes, celebrates the change. And this is something else that, honestly, it's time for me to start looking at. Okay, now let me ask you this, guys. And I realize we're running out of time pretty quick. But let me ask you this. If you were to get a newsletter, now you've seen the one where they put, here's the front page if somebody did something bad. Or here's a whole pile of people that are in financial straits. What about a section that is not and we're not talking a classified section. I'm not talking about sales. I'm talking about a section that says, hey, so and so graduated. So and so just got they just got married. They just had this successful reunion. This sort of thing. Now, I'm talking about just a short little blurb that celebrates individual successes instead of who died, who ripped who off for what, who went bankrupt. There's a lot of bankruptcies going on. I'll tell you right now, there are way more new homeowners, way more buildings being built, than there are being burnt down. There's way more people having kids than there are people dying. So I'm thinking of adding a page to Positive Perspectives to simply dedicate to this sort of thing. Now, it'll just start out as small. LA goes, small town newspapers used to print things like this. I, for one, miss it. Okay. So I'm thinking it'll only start out as a small little table in all likelihood, because I just don't know that many people that are really happy with the way their life is going. Okay. Myself, I am starting to look at this going, absolutely, I can see the problems. I can see the crime. I absolutely can. But why give criminals and abusers and bullies, why give them front page ranking? I don't see the point. Why give them recognition? Why not turn around and give you guys who just manage, like somebody in here, and I forget exactly who, somebody in here was having financial troubles, turned around, and because of changes that they found, that they discovered, turned around and financed a brand new truck. Okay, that's the kind of thing that has to be, in my opinion, spread to the world. Let people know that good things are happening. Okay, enough of this stuff of, oh, we're all going to die, we're heading into another depression. I'll tell you, poor people never notice a depression. They don't see it. Primarily because poor people and the working poor are already struggling so much that there is no, oh, it's a recession. It's like, look, I can only afford one Twinkie. And yeah, I realize Twinkies they're a really bad thing, apparently. I love them. Don't have any up here well, I can get them up here, I just don't have any in my hand. Okay. I mean, that would look really bad, having a Twinkie in my hand right now. I'll settle for coffee, but I will tell you, they say a breakfast of champions is chocolate and a beer. I'll tell you, coffee and a Twinkie ranks right up there. But I did discover the other day, just yesterday actually, I've got stewing meat in the house. Now, I can cook it up, put it in the fridge, and just a couple of pieces of actual beef. And I know if you're vegan, can't eat that. Sorry, I'm carnivore. Okay, so a couple of pieces of actual meat, and it takes the edge off everything. Absolutely, LA. And the thing is, I mean, this became blatantly obvious in 2003. We had a little bit of a fire, 100,000 people in the city, and we evacuated 33,000 of them from the fire-afflicted areas. The people that were so-called wealthy were totally lost. The people that were poor were going, hey, I've got a couch. It's not much, but you're welcome to have a seat. The poor people turned to each other and went, let's pull together. I'm telling you, with positive perceptions, this is what I desire to see happen. Enough of this thing about we're all going to die, because I'll clear that up. We're all going to die. The human body, the corporeal body, is designed to last forever. It literally, well, not really. And scientists of today have already proven that every 7 years, every cell in the human body is replaced. Okay. with this being said, the human body can be replaced multiple times, but you got to start feeding it the right food. One of the best foods is positive perceptions. Okay, if you sit there looking at the world going, I am broke, then you are broke. I am absolutely tight on money myself for now. But like I told my brother, yeah, I'm right down to the wire, but I am now climbing. Okay, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. Today is like I said, the 24th of this month. I will go back over what I was sitting at on the 24th of May. I'll go, this is where I was. This is now where I am. In this fashion, I hope to give you something solid to look at. Lead by example. If I'm going to tell you I'm going to do something, this is why I kind of went this direction. I'm like, getting input from people, most people don't know where to start. So I found if I talk about what I'm planning on doing, it helps me make notes. It helps me alter what I'm doing to make absolutely certain I get off the track I was on. And yes, this is going to sound absolutely rude. Here I am being positive and upbeat. And no, literally, I am using this venue and I do hate that. And quite seriously, your participation and your attention to help me stay focused so I can become the success that I see myself attaining. It's working as a supercharger for me. And that's why, if you've got an idea, I am looking for people to work with. Okay, this is where Eric comes into play. Okay, I just have to wait to see what pops on that one. But I got to be careful because I know I can extend way too fast. I've got literally hundreds of books that are up for sale that I've already got that are floating inventory. Okay, they're not making me any money right now, but they're also not costing me anything. They're sitting here. They're not changing, so that works out well. The one thing I will tell you is the biggest message, and I've been here multiple lifetimes. I'm not going to tell you which ones, okay? But I will tell you, I did come here I was in Rome at the time, okay, working on the Roman Senate, working with the Roman Senate, trying to convince them that the way they were treating people was not going to work. They've got to work with each other because it's going to take people from every walk of life. Today is the same thing. 2,000 years, and people are still doing the same bad moves. It is time to change. The difference this time is I'm coming right out and saying, this is what I'm here for. The last time I was here, I didn't tell people that. I just worked behind the scenes. People were treating people like garbage, so I'd rip every one of them off. But the good people, I'd always leave my calling card in the safe. They'd talk about a safe that was unpickable. I break into it and I'd leave one message. You were wrong. Okay. But if they were good people, I'd take all of their money out of the safe, usually put it in their bed where they had no choice but to find it. Or if they were bad, I'd take all of their money, keep enough money for me to survive for a couple of weeks, not live high on the hog, just get basic food. Okay. The rest I would distribute to other people. I'm doing the same thing now. Now, with that in mind, I will say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. We could not do this without you. Special thanks to Storm and LA Moon for keeping things in order in the chat room. Okay, and thank you all for sharing your time with us. Until tomorrow. Okay, until tomorrow, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.